Hello, hello, everybody, and happy Wednesday. My name is Tisha, and you are tuning in to Tisha Talks. And this is my special guest for today. This is Asti Atkinson. She is an entrepreneur and she's a health and wellness coach. She's out of Orem, Utah. Thank you for joining me, Asti. I know even short notice, too. Thank
I
you for
know.
taking action.
It's work today.
Yeah, so Asti and I met just recently. She's actually asked me to be part of her Moms Making Money Summit, and she'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, I want to dive into a couple of things. I know there's so many people getting ready to start a business, and that's what you love to do. You love to help people take their hobbies, turn it into a business, turn their dreams into reality. So, Asti, what are some things that you would share with someone who's just getting ready to start on the journey? And real quick, before we start, if you have questions or comments for Asti or for me, please use the chat box. We will get to those in real time or also catch up in the replay. But Asti, I'm going to let you take the floor. Is there some tips that you could share with people who are like, this is the time, ready to go, now what?
Yeah, no, there are some really great tips. And this actually is a time where a lot of people are jumping into that position, either as an insurance policy for the unknowns in the future, or just because the timing feels right, or they had to come home anyway. And so they have to get something started, whether they like it or not. And so one of the things that I think is really important to remember when you're just getting started is that you can be yourself. And I have been to so many different branding workshops. I've been to so many different business trainings, and I love them, and there are great nuggets in all of them. But when it finally gelled for me back in the day of what it really means to show up as yourself, I was told it's the thing that you do so well that you're surprised that people even mention it about yourself, right? That if you are going to promise something about yourself and how you show up, that you could fulfill it in your sleep. And that was the biggest relief, right? When I was getting started in business myself, to think, I can actually just do this my way. I can show up the way I show up. I can do what I do, and I don't have to promise or try to be anyone else, which is such a brilliant thing to recognize. So that's number one. Right? Is just that when you start thinking about what you're going to do and what you're going to give it, and there's even different stages, right? Whether someone has an idea that they want to pursue and they really know what they're passionate about, versus if you're just thinking, well, what should I even do, right? So try some things, experiment a little bit if you're not quite sure. One tip is to if you want your business to be successful, is to make sure that there's already somebody out there who's doing it. So if you are Googling your business idea and there's nobody out there who is doing what you want to do, it's going to be a hard uphill climb, right? The first person to a space in the market usually is not the most successful, because you get the kind of tough honor of educating people on why your service is amazing. But if you can be the second or third to the market, and you can do it differently or with a really unique approach, that's where you can make bank.
Oh, see, I like that. So I do a lot of mentoring for startups, and they always miss that step, research and development, the R&D. Who is already doing this? Who's already conquered this? And how are you going to break into that? And you're right. How are you going to make it different? We always sit here and go, I can't do this. Too many other people do it. But we've got to get back to, but you do it in a different way. People like you for you. There's enough business to go around. It's like you said, you're a health and wellness coach. There are a zillion health and wellness coaches out there, but you do it differently. Nobody is you or does it like you. And that's what we always tend to forget. So we feel like we're already defeated even before we get started. And I think that's why a lot of us stay stuck in, well, I don't know if I can do this. There's that self-doubt that creeps in.
Right. I mean, just think about this. I know two business coaches who approach things very differently. They teach the exact same process, but one of them does not want to make her business coaching her life, right? She just doesn't. She allots a very certain amount of time to it. She has priorities, and she wants to be with her kids and her family. And so she tells people, I am going to teach you how to be a successful entrepreneur, without having to give up your life to do it. I'm going to model this for you. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And you're going to be amazed at the people who are attracted to that. You're going to attract the people who don't want someone to handhold. They want to just know the principles and they're going to go get it done. And they want to know how to not let business take over their life, right? So there's one approach. And then
Mhm.
there's another one that says, I'm going to hold your hand every single step of the way. We're going to do this together. Well, that one's going to attract the ones that are a lot more tentative about doing something on their own, both valuable for different personalities, but the one who needs handholding is not going to be attracted to the one who's like, I will give you 20 minutes of my time per week, right? And you can
Right.
text in the meantime. So just be aware of what your boundaries are, what you want to create in your life. I think intention is huge. Even with
Mhm.
the summit, we sent out a download in the registration email, or not the thank you email after the registration. So you can actually set an intention. I just think it's so important, because how are you going to know if you get out of something what you want if you don't know what you wanted in the first place?
Intention is such a big word in everything that you do. What's the intention? I always say that even when I'm posting, there has to be some intention with it. It's not just posting to posting. I like what you said, though, about the two coaches. Like, you're going to jive with certain people. And you mentioned this earlier, is when you know who you are and what you want to attract. And a lot of times it's who, like I say, I attract me. Like, the people that come to me, they are me. They want the same things. They believe the same things. The values are the same. And that's ultimately where you're trying to find. So those people are going to choose me over someone that does something very similar or very close to. So it's great to be able to share that.
Yeah, and really in business, if you think about it, a lot of people get tripped up because they think that you have to be an expert at something, like an absolute guru, to be able to make something happen. But research has repeatedly shown that if you're just 2 or 3 steps ahead of your clients, it's really the ideal space to be, because you're far enough advanced that you can help them and give them tips. You've passed through the steps completely and graduated, but you're not so far beyond them that you're not relatable and that you don't really understand where they are or where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So just that's a powerful mind shift, I think, for a lot of newbies in business, to think, I don't have to know everything. I just have to know enough to be helpful.
Exactly. I always say that. And even when looking for mentors, I'm like, I want people that are steps ahead of me because I can always learn from them. And the same thing. Like, I love when I take on a new client, they're like, you know so much. I'm like, it's because I have been there. It's because I have had to learn these things myself. I have failed through. I've had all those mistakes, and here it is. Like, this is my gift to you. This is how I help you through the process.
And I think that's a key thing that you just said too, because a lot of times people think failure is failure, but actually failure is just a stepping stone to success. Because
Mm-hmm.
could anyone really be relatable to you or feel like you were relatable to them if you had always done everything perfectly and had everything go just right for you? I'm sorry that you're having challenges. I don't really know how to deal with that, because everything's
I'm
always gone
perfect.
perfectly for me.
I don't know if I know anybody that says it that way, but you're right. I mean, we talked about this even in the green room about imperfection. Like, it's so much better to just take imperfect action than to never take action at all. And I posted something today on LinkedIn for people who may have seen that post, but I was telling Asti that I'm just honored when people ask me to be their first anything, their first networking event they've attended, because I host networking events in Phoenix, their first podcast guest, their first live stream guest. I'm like, I just want to shout from the rooftops, because I'm like, wow, you were taking action and I get to be the first person to watch that happen. That's exciting. That's
There is
exciting to
an
me.
energy to that, when you get into that creation energy and witness it. And I think that's probably why I enjoy brand new entrepreneurs so much, is because there's that, there's those baby steps getting started, the mind shift that comes from turning your hobby into an actual business and starting to think through business processes and systems, having to get clear on your messaging and who you are. I think that actually starting a business is probably one of the best personal growth programs you could possibly put yourself through.
Mm-hmm.
And chances are it will be less expensive than a big personal development program, and you might even make some good money. putting yourself
Yes.
through personal development programs. So it's kind of fun.
So, what would you say is the biggest pitfall? Because you work with a lot of entrepreneurs, especially new entrepreneurs, but what would you say is the biggest pitfall that you've seen that's just you keep seeing it over and over, and you're like, okay, we need to teach this? Because I know what I have in my head about like where people are missing the boat. But what would you say? I'd love to, talk about these things.
Oh, there's actually several fun areas. But I would say one of them is a misalignment with your branding and who you actually want to serve. So for example, we were working with a doula who wanted to serve women, and a doula is someone who assists in a birth, right? Kind of like a birth support person that would go with you to your appointments and help you kind of navigate the whole process. And she wanted to work with clients who had had some sexual abuse, some trauma in their past, because there's different emotions that come up, and she was very skilled in that area. And she, I'm not going to tell you the actually name that she started her business, just in the interest of privacy, but the
Sure.
name of her business was very like a grandiose kind of a name. And
Hmm.
when you heard it, you thought of, pink Tiffany lamps and gold gilded trim on the walls, and just, the real luxury cream of the crop kind of segment. And that really was not her population. And she was really
Mm.
confused about why people wouldn't be attracted, or why she was attracting, the more wealthy, the people who had no trauma at all, who just really wanted someone to walk them through. And so
Right.
we helped her get a little bit more consistent with her messaging and her desire, her intention. Everything shifts. And you and I have actually had a conversation about this in the past, about showing up in the
Mm-hmm.
way with the appropriate message so that your people can recognize you. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that another mistake entrepreneurs make is that they feel like they need to serve everyone. You feel like you need to
Yes.
be so broad that you serve actually absolutely everyone. And really, the tighter you can niche, think about this. People are looking for a specialist in what they are going through right then.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have, let's say you've got a teenage son who is addicted to something, right? And you're trying to figure out a solution for that. You're not going to go online and go to a counselor that's like, I treat all kinds of things, right?
Everything.
You would
Mm-hmm.
go to the one that says, I have, let's say it's gaming, right? Addiction to gaming. You would go to the counselor that says, I specialize in helping teenage boys with gaming, because it's not actually the gaming, it's this other problem, and we work on that. I know exactly how to help them. That would fill you with a ton of confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people really do look for someone who can specifically serve them in the way that they want to be served. Going back to that coach example, you
Right.
want to be handheld? Do you want to just be empowered? Do you want principles? So really, you can show up as yourself and choose your niche. Be picky about who you want to work with, because they will be picky with you back, which is a good thing.
Absolutely. And I'm in this challenge right now, and we're talking about that so specifically of what is your niche, like really, really drill it down, even by geographic location, because again, you can't serve every single person. You can't do that. So as specific as you can get. And like even with me, I'm like, I want people in my area, like right here in this area, because that's who I can serve the best right now. So
Yeah.
yes, definitely. The other thing that I know we talked about before we jumped on is systems and processes, that a lot of people miss the boat with just having things in order. It's like they're constantly running this rat race because they haven't figured out what to do. It's like reinventing the wheel every single time they get a new client or someone books with them. Like, can you talk a little bit about that, Asti, of what you would
Oh,
recommend for some? I know this could be like
oh,
kind of a long
no,
conversation.
yeah, that is a lot. I mean, just think about the businesses that are the most successful chains. There's Starbucks, there's McDonald's. I mean, if you take a look at their business system books, you would think that there was some kind of a college course going on with a massive textbook. But in your own business, even if you just little by little, For example, if you have a social media program, right, where you go on a certain amount of time to every week at a certain time, and this is what you do, or this is what you post, or this is your topics. I would write that all out as specifically as possible, because one of the things that you're going to want to kind of work towards is to get yourself out of the daily grind of your business, right?
Sure.
You actually can't grow as quickly or as much as you want to if you are going to be a one-man show or a one-woman show. So
Hmm.
if you can start writing out processes, so you literally could hand the system over to an assistant or someone that, there's high school kids that can do this kind of thing for pennies on the dollar. If there are college students who are looking for resume, you can be really creative in outsourcing and delegating some of your business daily, what do I want to say, your daily to-dos.
Yes.
And yet you can still build up a really, really solid process so that you don't have to be putting out fires all the time.
Hmm. Yes, I love that idea. All right, so I know it's 5 o'clock, and I want to give you, see, this time just flies. It flies by so fast, but I want to
Okay,
give you a
done.
chance to talk about the summit that is coming up October 1st through the 21st. I know you have so many amazing speakers, and thank you for asking me to be a part of it. I am so pumped, so excited to share some knowledge with your audience as well. But what are some things that people can expect? What can they learn? What should they take away? I know you were sharing that this is really more of a workshop style summit, so there's a lot of action taking steps as well. It's not just
There's a
consume the
lot. We've
information
also,
and then sit on the information.
yeah, no, as we've been recording the interview, so with this particular summit, you'll be getting an expert interview to your inbox every single day between the 1st and the 21st of October. And that really does fit a mom's lifestyle. So you don't have to show up at a very specific time. You can access it for the full 24 hours. It's very versatile. You can listen to it while you're going to soccer practice. So that one is accessible in that way. And we really are targeting women who either have already started a business and are working from home, or who are thinking about it, who are wanting to, or even moms who had to bring their work home because of the recent situation the last several months with COVID. And as I have looked at my associates and lots of people that I know, I've seen women who have really thrived in the crazy changing environment. They've been able to adapt
Mm-hmm.
and and pivot, and other ones just really are feeling very isolated, a bit fearful about the future. There's just a lot of changing pieces that happen every single day, and especially the turn that we've had economically, right, because of
Right.
the recent situation has been a bit scary. And so I really wanted to put something together where women could come and feel connected, and here's some practical tips so you can up level your business. I'm a fierce advocate of moms, as I have shared with you before. I just think that if you can develop streamlined processes in your business and ultimately become more successful in less time, that will free you up to spend more time with your kids and your family, the people who are important to you, so that you can
Right.
actually be present for your own life and love it. So that really is the goal here. And we have been very intentional with the speakers and the topics, and I'm so excited about it. But there are basically 4 categories that you can expect to learn in. The first is mindset and personal development, because you have to have your brain, your mind in the right place, getting ready to create, getting ready to be open to possibilities that can come, choosing your intention, making a decision. This is really important as you gear up. Second category is actual business tips and strategies. You're going to get some powerful, great hacks for your business that will help you become more successful in less time. And there are some, I'll tell you that in a second. The third category is homework balance, something that I
Oh
think all
man.
parents deal
Yes,
with, but specifically women. We're kind of the ones in charge of that. So we
we
have
are. We are.
tips on that. And then also how you can have really great relationships with your significant other and your kids. And then the last category is steps moving into the future. How do you face the future with courage and confidence and peace and grace, and really feel good stepping into that space? And so these these experts, the speakers, they are not disappointing. It has been absolutely phenomenal to watch all of these interviews unravel. I'm so excited to be able to start sending them out. But it is a free summit. If you just go to mymommakesmoney.com/TP, you'll be able to sign up for free and get all those to your inbox. You'll get the download we talked about for you to set your own intention for the summit so you can get the most out of it that you can. And the cool thing that I was going to share is that every single speaker is making the most amazing offers. There are free offers, everything from a complete book that you could buy off of Amazon, all the way to some incredible workshops and trainings for just pennies on the dollar of what these coaches and trainers usually charge. So, I mean, this really is a great way to build your business and your training and your knowledge in all these different areas.
Thank you so much, Asti. I think too, this is the time where you start growing and you start learning. And I know like in COVID, I've really been a sponge. I'm taking it all in. I'm creating, I'm growing, I'm pivoting, I'm adapting, I'm changing things up. Like this is the perfect time while things are, offered free, to be able to learn from some of these coaches, these speakers and so forth and start moving forward. Like nobody likes staying stuck. So this is a great opportunity and I'm so happy to be a part of it. And thank you, Asti, so much. Again, mymommakesmoney.com/TP is where you can sign up for this for the summit happening October 1st through the 21st. I really like that you've made it in bite-sized chunks too. That it's not, wow, I'm going to spend like five days just glued to my camera and I can't, or glued to my Zoom and I can't get out. And it's just like, you're kind of going like Zoom crazy. I like that you've made it that way because it is hard, especially when you've got kids in the mix and homework and, just your other duties and challenges to be able to take all of that time to devote to this. So kudos to you for keeping time management in the mix, because I know time management is something that a lot of women struggle with too. I have so much to do. How am I going to do it? How am I not going to neglect my family? How am I not just going to run through a McDonald's drive-through? Like how am I gonna,
we do have somebody talking on that too, because that is a big issue.
Yeah, it's a huge issue. It's a huge issue. I know we were talking about this earlier, just even about the self-care aspect. And this is how you chunk out your day. This is what you do. This is me being fully present here, and not trying to multitask and do every single thing all at one time. And just that's how you suffer burnout. That's how you just throw your hands in the air and go, I can't.
And when you get to that point, you're no good for anyone. I mean, you really are the asset of your life and your business and your family. And if you can't show up, nobody's going to show up for you. So
I know.
It's been important.
Well, this has been so fun. Thank you, Asti, for being here today. And if you're watching the replay, she is amazing. Go connect with her. Great gal. And she's putting on this My Mom Makes Money Summit again, October 1st. So it's coming up. Make sure you register at the link mymommakesmoney.com/TP. Asti, such a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time today to chat with me on Tisha Talks Live.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, I love women who just take action. She's like, I'll be on the show right now. And there we go. So thank you so much, everybody, tuning into the live and to the replay. And we will see you guys at the summit. All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.